Hello everybody, this is Alan Zarnelli with Lux Ludus Media again, and this time I'm going to talk about star trails. So how do I shoot star trails? The old way was to set up the camera on a tripod, point it at the stars, and do a 1 hour and a half exposure. The problem with that is that your sensor gets warm and then you get a lot of noise because of that warm sensor. So the way I do it today is actually a little different, and that is basically a trick that I learned again from Elia Locardi. And the trick is, and I'm sure he saw it from somebody else, but whatever the case, the trick is very simple. You use an automatic release, a remote release, that you can set on, lock on the shutter open to where it will, your camera will be on continuous shooting, and you set it to 30 seconds at the correct, in full manual mode, at the correct illumination, right? Once it's completely dark, let's say after the end of astronomical twilight, so it's dark, you have measured the light for the stars and you just set it there, and 30 seconds with an f8, whatever it is, sorry, not an f8, an f2.8 or f1.4, depending on what lens you have. And then your ISO is typically 1600 or 3200, again depending on the light and the larger the aperture of your lens. Anyhow, once you set that up, 30-second exposures, you have it on the tripod, you start your sequence, and you're basically going to shoot for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you shoot straight through with your release locked. What happens is that you're going to get a 30-second exposure. Once that's done, the shutter opens again for another 30-second exposure. Once that's done, the shutter opens for the next. And so what you're getting is you're getting these short star trails that are 30 seconds long. And what you're doing then is you're bringing all these photos that you just shot, and you're going to bring them into Photoshop and you stack them in lighten mode. That way your stars will actually, because they are brighter than the background, the star trails will start showing. And once you do that, you get like 150, 200, 250 layers, however many photos you brought in for your star trails, you will get all these photos in different layers. And once you're happy, you just flatten the image and you have your star trail image, which with nice long star trails, depending on the number of photos you shot. 250 to 300 photos will probably get you a very nice long strain of stars. However, if you want to notch it up a little bit, you can actually take those layers that you have before you flatten the image, and you take the image and you take every layer and you say, layer 1 10%, layer 2 11%, layer 3 12%, and so on in the opacity. That way you're going from a very faint trail all the way to a 100% opacity trail, and that gives you these nice trails that like fade away at the end as you look at them. And sorry about the dogs, they are not happy because there's somebody playing outside. So like I said, it's an easy trick, and it's, it has a little bit, it has some pitfalls, because if you have a 200 sequence of star trails and the 201st photo is messed up, now you have a gap in your star trails. Now you could try to fix that, but it's going to be very difficult, and you're going to have a little bit of a gap in there, and that's going to be seen. So when you set that up, make sure that you're in a spot where there's no interference, where there are no people that can bump your tripod or people that can shine a light in your camera, so that you don't get your sequence messed up like 2/3 or even 90-95% into the sequence. If it's early on, you can probably still fix it by just discarding those pictures and just going a little longer in your trails. The problem is if it's in the middle or at the very end, you're pretty much gonna have to just pack up and come back the next day. So I'm going to show how to use the layering and the opacity in a subsequent little video screen capture on in Photoshop. But for now, this little tip hopefully is of value to somebody. So I hope you enjoy, and see you soon.